المسبوق فورا ودخل مع الإمام كيفما كان العمل مكبرا ساجدا أو راكعا ألفاه لا في جلسة متابعة. الحمد لله رب العالمين والصلاة والسلام. أحرم المسبوق فورا يعني أن المسبوق إذا وجد الإمام متلبسا بالصلاة إن كان الإمام راتبا يجب عليه أن يدخل معه حتى لا يقع طعن في الإمام، وإن كان غير راتب فيندب له أن يسارع بالدخول مع الإمام. أحرم المسبوق فورا إذا وجد الإمام في داخل الصلاة. إذا كان الإمام راتبا يجب عليه أن يدخل معه فورا حتى لا يقع قدح في الإمام، وإن كان غير راتب مندوب له حتى لا تفوته بعض أجزاء الصلاة.
أن يتسارع في
نعم إذا وجد الإمام في الصلاة.
So if a person finds the imam is already praying, if that imam is an imam ratib, then he must.
وصالح للإمامة طبعا.
And he's like the appointed imam and he's.
وهذا غير غالب الآن كما قلنا.
هذا واجب.
واجب كان إماما راتبا مستحقا للإمامة صالحا لها.
So it is wajib if the imam is a appointed imam and is
عدلا صالحا
known as to be
تقيا.
a trustworthy person and a person who is righteous and properly fulfilling the prayer and so on, for that person to join the prayer as soon as possible.
حتى لا يقع قدح في هذا الإمام.
So that people don't think that there's a problem with this imam.
وإن كان غير راتب فيندب له أن يدخل معه.
Or to think that the person is criticizing the imam by withholding. And if a person is not even the appointed imam and is leading the prayer, it is preferred for them to join that prayer as soon as possible.
كيفما كان العمل ساجدا راكعا جالسا في أي محل.
It doesn't matter where in the prayer they're at, whether they're prostrating, bowing, sitting.
إلا إذا خاف فوات الركن، كان إذا دخله راكع، إذا دخله وهو راكع لا يعرف هل سيدرك الركوع أو لا فيتأنى حتى لا يزيد في الصلاة أو يفقد ركنه.
So now if a person is fearing that maybe they will not catch the ruku' before the imam is done with it, then they can wait.
يحتاج يلزمهم.
They must wait.
مكبرا إن ساجدا أو راكعا، إذا وجد الإمام راكعا أو ساجدا فليزيد تكبيرا على تكبيرة الإحرام تكبيرة السنة. إذا وجده راكعا أو ساجدا.
If he finds the imam is in bowing or in prostration and he's going to join him, then he says the takbirat al-ihram to enter the prayer, and then he adds another Allahu Akbar as he goes into that position, and it's a sunnah for him to do so.
إذا وجده راكعا أو ساجدا لا في جلسة.
If he finds him in the ruku' or sujood, not sitting.
أما إذا وجده جالسا كجلسة الوسطى أو بين السجدتين أو جلسة التسليمة فلا يزيد على تكبيرة الإحرام وليجلس بدون تكبير.
But if he finds the imam sitting down for any sitting,
بين السجدتين أو جلسة الوسطى أو جلسة السلام,
any sitting at all, whether it's after the 2 rak'ahs or for the tahiyyat or for the salam or whatever, then he says a takbirat al-ihram and then sits down.
نعم ويبدأ في التشهد أو التسبيح أثناء.
And he begins with the tashahhud or the tasbih or
ما هو موجود في ذلك.
whatever is done in that state. شيخ هل لابد أن يقرأ تكبيرة الإحرام وهو قائم؟
نعم هذا فيه خلاف بين العلماء. هو الأحوط أن يقول الله أكبر وهو قائم قبل أن ينحط، ولكن إذا بدأها كما إذا وجد أحيانا يجد الإنسان الإمام وهو راكع، فإذا بدأها وهو منحط فقط هذه الركعة بطلت والصلاة صحيحة، وإذا بدأها وهو قائم وأكملها وهو منحط فالصلاة صحيحة المشهور، وقيل إن الركعة باطلة لكن الصلاة صحيحة.
So then as far as the positioning of the person as they're saying the takbirat al-ihram, which is takbirat al-ihram means the starting Allahu Akbar, that now they're anything outside of the prayer is forbidden for them. This Allahu Akbar, the ideal you say it while standing, then you move to the position that the imam is in. How about if somebody violates that? If they say that they start while standing and then as they're finished they start saying Allahu Akbar while standing, but then while they're still saying it they move into that position.
ففي خلاف في الركعة الصلاة صحيحة ولكن هذه الركعة محسوبة أم لا؟
Then there's a difference of opinion whether this rak'ah is counted or not, but there's agreement that the prayer is valid. That
والصحيح أن هذه الركعة محسوبة.
The takbirat al-ihram is counted, and the correct opinion is that this rak'ah is also counted. But if a person joins the prayer and doesn't even begin standing but when he says Allahu Akbar, he's already going into the مثلا هل إذا دخل سجود وقال تكبيرة الإحرام
الله أكبر هذه فيها خلاف.
نعم.
وإذا قال الله أكبر فهي الركعة باطلة والصلاة صحيحة.
فإذا بدأ مثلا من غير أن يتحرك من الركوع قال الله أكبر أيضا.
هاي لا تفيد.
نعم.
هاي لا تفيد.
So then if he's already beginning to move and then he says Allahu Akbar as he's already moving and he doesn't begin while standing straight, then
الركعة باطلة.
The correct opinion that the rak'ah does not count.
والصلاة صحيحة.
But the prayer still counts.
نعم. سلم الإمام وقام قاضيا أقوال مكبرا سيدنا لا في جلسة وتابع عندما يدخل مع الإمام يجب عليه أن يتابعه إلا في زيادة ونقص كما قدمنا.
And then once the person follows the imam, then it is obligatory for him to follow the imam, of course, unless he's adding or subtracting something from the prayer. والسهو القبلي
قدمنا أن يحمل الإمام على السهو إلا فيما أخذه بعد الإمام.
Or he doesn't follow, and then he must follow the imam in everything except for the adding to the prayer or subtracting to the prayer.
إذا ترك فرضا أو زاد في الصلاة فلا يتبعه ذلك.
Or if he's adding a fard to the prayer or leaving it out, he doesn't follow him in that. Or in the cases of the sujood as-sahu, we talked about what he does earlier.
إن سلم الإمام المسبوق إذا سلم الإمام هذا مالك هنا مثل مالك هنا دقيق في هذه المسألة يأخذ بالحديثين. إن سلم الإمام قام قاضيا أقواله وفي الفعال بانيا. عندما يسلم الإمام وهو مسبوق سيعمل بمسألتين يقضي الأقوال ويبني في الأفعال وسأبين معنى ذلك.
Okay, so now as far as once the imam finishes, the person is masbuq. We'll write this down. Masbuq means that the person joined the prayer and he caught
فاته منها بعضها قبل.
and he caught at least one rak'ah, but he missed at least one rak'ah. That he missed some of the prayer and caught some of it. So he's masbuq. So if a person starts a prayer and they're masbuq and now the imam says the salam, they have at least one rak'ah to make up. So how do they make up this rak'ah? Imam Malik mentions.
قام قاضيا أقواله يحسبها بالنسبة للأقوال هي الأولى وبالنسبة للأفعال هي الأخيرة.
So then now he, as far as the physical actions of the prayer, he does bina. So he meaning literally to build, to continue building. That he has
يجعل هاي التي أدركها مع الإمام بالنسبة للأفعال هي الأولى.
So then now he has as far as الأفعال.
نعم بالنسبة للأفعال يجعل ما أدركه مع الإمام هو الأول.
So then
ما أدركه مع الإمام هو الأول بالنسبة للأفعال.
نعم. So then he as far as the actions, then he takes into consideration what he has prayed with the imam already. So if he has prayed 3 with the imam, that means he's on his 4th rak'ah right now as far as actions.
بالنسبة للأفعال.
Or as far as like sitting for the tashahhud, if he has prayed 1 with the imam and so on, and we'll clarify the details. So he counts himself as whatever rak'ah he is on, having completed whatever rak'ahs he prayed with the imam. But as far as the speech, the statements, reciting a surah after the Fatiha, etc.,
جهر أو سر,
reading loudly or silently, this is
الذي سيقوم له الآن هو الأول.
Then he actually, once the imam says his salam, now he makes those up. He makes up the ones he missed from the imam, starting from the first.
مثال ذلك من أدرك الإمام في الركعة الأخيرة من المغرب.
So for example, the person who catches the imam on the last rak'ah of Maghrib.
فقد صلى معه ركعة واحدة.
So he has prayed only 1 rak'ah with the imam.
هاي بالنسبة للأفعال هي الأولى.
So as far as his actions, then he counts this rak'ah as his first.
فسيقوم ويقرأ جهرا ويأتي بالسورة بعد الفاتحة بالنسبة له كان هي الأولى ويجلس يعني هي الثانية بالنسبة للأفعال.
So as far as the speech, now he's on his first rak'ah.
يقرأ
He counts himself as
الفاتحة.
being on the first rak'ah. So once he stands up, he recites out loud, recites the Fatiha, recites a surah after the Fatiha.
ويجلس لأن هي الثانية بالنسبة للأفعال.
So as far as his speech, he counts it as his first. But as far as his actions, he counted as his second. So now when he finishes that rak'ah, he sits down for the tashahhud.
وليقوم ويقرأ في الأخيرة أيضا بالفاتحة والسورة جهرا لأنها هي الثانية.
So then he gets up, as far as physically, he's on his physical third rak'ah. But as far as his speech, he's now making up the second rak'ah which he missed from the imam. Because the rak'ah he prayed with the imam wasn't loud and didn't have a surah. So now he's making up the second rak'ah. So even though he just got up from his tashahhud, he's on his third rak'ah physically, he's making up the second rak'ah as far as verbally. So even in his third rak'ah now physically, he's reciting out loud with the Fatiha and reciting out loud as another surah.
هذا هو.
Is that clear?
نعم. تحتسب الأولى والآخرة.
نعم. في بالنسبة للأفعال هي الأولى، بالنسبة للأقوال هي الأخيرة. قد سلم الإمام وقام قاضيا أقواله وفي الفعال بانيا. كبر إن حصل شفعا. إذا أراد المأموم أن ينفصل عن الإمام بعد أن سلم الإمام ماذا يقوم به؟ فإن كان قد أدرك معه ركعتين أو أقل من ركعة فليقوم بالتكبير.
So now
إن سلم الإمام.
If the imam says the salam,
فالمأموم إما أن يكون صلى معه ركعتين أو أقل من ركعة أو وتر.
So the one who's praying behind him either has prayed less than a rak'ah,
أو ركعتين أو ركعتين.
or he has prayed 2 rak'ahs, or he has prayed an odd number of rak'ahs, like 1
فإذا
or 2.
كان حصل ركعتين فليقم بالتكبير أو أقل من ركعة فليقم بالتكبير.
So now if he has prayed with the imam less than 1 rak'ah, or he has prayed with the imam 2 rak'ahs,
فليقم بالتكبير.
then when he gets up after the imam says the salam, he should say Allahu Akbar. as
سنة
he's saying
فقط.
now.
سنة.
Sunnah.
فإذا كان أدرك معه ركعة واحدة أو 3 ركعات فلا يقوم بالتكبير.
So then, but what if he only prayed 1 rak'ah or 3 rak'ahs with the imam? Then he should stand up without saying an additional Allahu Akbar.
يبدأ بالفاتحة فقط.
Just stand up and start reciting the Fatiha.
والسهو إذا احتمل عندما ينفصل عن الإمام فصار مسؤولا عن نفسه لا يحمل عنه.
ولا يفهم مسكين.
I didn't understand the last part that he said. So when he prays the first and third?
When he has prayed either 1 rak'ah with the imam or 3 rak'ahs with the imam, and now the imam said the salam, and they're making up now either 3 rak'ahs or whatever, or 1 rak'ah or whatever, then he stands up without saying Allahu Akbar.
And when does he say, contrary to that, so when does he say?
When he has prayed less than 1 rak'ah with the imam or 2 rak'ahs with the imam.
Okay.
تريد أن تشرح له لماذا شيء؟
نعم لأن بدون ركعتين لا يكون مفتتح صلاة وبركعتين كما قام من جلستين وب3 ركعات وركعة واحدة ما من عادتين يقوم بالتكبير لأن التكبير قد أتى به بعد رفع من السجود.
So then, and the reason being is because if you have prayed less than 1, then you're starting your first rak'ah. On the first rak'ah, then you're going to say Allahu Akbar. On the and you're praying basically by yourself now. If you have prayed 2 rak'ahs with the imam, that means you this was your middle tashahhud that you're getting up from, and from when you rise from the middle tashahhud you say Allahu Akbar. If you have prayed 1 rak'ah with the imam, now you're adding an extra sitting. So you've already said Allahu Akbar to get out of the sujood and to get into the sitting. So you don't need to say Allahu Akbar again to stand, because that sitting wasn't required for you anyways. So you've already said in Allahu Akbar. And the only reason why you sat is because you're following the imam. In reality, your prayer didn't need to sit there. So you've already said 1 Allahu Akbar, so you don't need to add an additional 1. You don't add an additional 1 when you stand. The same goes for 3 rak'ahs, because it's not the time for sitting. You've already said Allahu Akbar out of sujood. You don't need to say another Allahu Akbar to stand. You just pause sitting because of the imam.
والسهو إذ ذاك احتمل وعندما ينفصل الإمام عن المأموم عن الإمام فصار تحمل مسؤولية نفسه.
And then now once a person is separated from the imam, now they carry their own mistakes. They would do the sujood or their prayer is invalidated or whatever based on their own mistakes. They're responsible.
وبطلت لمقتد بمبطلي على الإمام غير فرع من جديد. كل ما تبطل الصلاة على الإمام تبطل على المأموم إلا في هذه المسائل.
And anything that invalidates the prayer for the imam also invalidates the prayer of the person praying behind the imam, except in these cases.
من ذكر الحدث، إذا تذكر الإمام الحدث أو تذكر النجاسة أو تشدد عليه حدث في أداء الصلاة فإنها تبطل عليه وحده دون المأمومين.
So if the imam, so meaning that if the imam's prayer is invalidated, then the people behind him, their prayer is invalidated except in these cases. If the imam remembers that he didn't have wudu,
أو تشدد عليه في أثناء الصلاة،
or he lost his wudu during the prayer,
أو تذكر النجاسة،
or he remembered that there was impurity on his body,
أو وقعت عليه نجاسة في أثناء الصلاة،
or some impurity fell upon him while he was praying.
إن بادر الخروج، إذا بادر الخروج فإن المأمومين صلاتهم صحيحة.
If he leaves the prayer immediately after this happens, or rushes to leave the prayer after this happens, then his prayer is invalidated, but the people praying behind him, their prayer, they continue doing that.
وماذا يفعلون في ذلك الوقت؟ ماذا
So
يفعلون؟
what do they do at that time?
هم ممكن في غير الجمعة ممكن أن يصلوا أفذاذا، ممكن أن يكملوا صلاتهم أفذاذا.
Other than Jum'ah, it is permissible for them to continue during their prayer, doing their prayer on their own.
وأما في الجمعة يجب عليهم أن يقدموا أحدا ليكمل بهم الصلاة.
As for Jum'ah, it would be required for them to put somebody ahead so that he can complete the prayer.
وندب تقديمه في غير الجمعة يندب لهم تقديم مؤتمن من الجماعة اللي كانت موجودة مأمومة ليس خارج عن الصلاة، اللي كانوا موجودين مع الإمام يكمل بهم الصلاة، يقال له الخليفة لابد أن يكون من المأمومين.
And then as for the people who are praying the full prayer now, even though it's not Jum'ah, and Jum'ah would be required for them to put an imam to lead them.
من المأمومين خاصة.
From the people who are praying behind the imam already. Now as far as if it was other than Jum'ah, then it is preferred for them to put somebody ahead to be the new imam to take the place of the imam.
ندب له أن يقدمه، ندب الإمام أن يقدمه، فإن لم يفعل.
It is preferred for starting for the imam himself as he's leaving to tap somebody, put somebody ahead to lead the prayer, the rest of the prayer.
فإذا لم يفعل الإمام يندب لهم أن يقدموا أحدا.
And if the imam does not do so, it is preferred for them to put somebody ahead.
ولكن الانفراد أيضا جائز في غير الجمعة.
But other than Jum'ah, it is preferred, it is allowed for them to pray on their own, to continue the prayer.
نعم نعم هذا أيضا الفرق الثالث.
الشيخ إن قام أحد ولم يصل وبعضهم صلوا معه وبعضهم صلوا.
لا حرج في غير الجمعة.
So and other than Jum'ah, if a person goes and starts leading the prayer, and some of them pray behind him and the rest continue their prayer on their own, their prayer is still valid.
وفوت قبله ثلاث سنن بفصل مسجد كطول الزمن. هذا لا انتهينا. وهنا ننتهي وأقول قولي هذا أستغفر الله لي ولكم وبعد صلاة الظهر يعني سنبدأ الدرس الثالث إن شاء الله.
Inshallah, we've completed the chapter of the Imam, and inshallah after the الساعة الثالثة
سنبدأ صلاة في الزكاة شيء من الزكاة إن شاء الله.
About 3 o'clock inshallah we're going to start 3 o'clock we're going to start a chapter talking about some of the zakah inshallah. الدرس الثاني اليوم.
لا
So we don't have the 2 o'clock class today.
لا نرتب له لأن هذه الدروس ستتغير. تقول لهم بينهم في الأونلاين أن سنغير أوقات الدروس لأنك وقتك تغير.
Pay attention to the new schedule that is coming out. That will be 2 on Saturday, 2 on Sunday, and 3:15 on Saturday. Inshallah, we will be announcing it. Inshallah soon, or 3:30 on Saturday. We'll be announcing it soon, inshallah. And 2 o'clock on Sunday, most likely. But pay attention, stay tuned for the schedule that will be posted.
سيتغير.
Part of the part where he said that if najazat fell on you during your salah, what would be considered something that would invalidate your salah that fell upon you?
يعني أنواع النجاسة.
Bird poop?
النجاسة فيه يعفى عنها الدم إذا كان أقل من درهم هذا يعفى عنه القهر غير ذلك بنجاسة خلاص.
Just a little bit of blood that comes on you, less than like a quarter size or whatever, then this would be the one that would be accepted. But all the other types of impurity, the filth.
إذا كان مبلولا هذا فيفسد وإذا كان جافا وسكن فيبطل.
That if it is a wet type of impurity that falls on you, then it invalidates. Even if it is a dry impurity, if it settles on your clothes or on your body, then it is also will also invalidate you.
ما إذا لم يثبت كمية صبي نجس قطعا ومر عليه أو ريشة مرت فلم تسكن أو شيء هذا لا شيء.
Or as far, but if it's something dry, that it's something that goes like some kind of feather or like a child that passed by that was impure, but nothing stayed on you and nothing was wet, then your prayer is fine.
For the person who entered the prayer, you said that it's sunnah for them to say Allahu Akbar when they enter the prayer after the second.
Allahu Akbar, not Allahu Akbar.
Allahu Akbar.
Allahu Akbar.
نعم, yes.
So it's sunnah for them to say that after the 2 rakats, if he's entering into the prayer, but before that, then what does he do? It's to say it out loud. Maybe I got it wrong. But so for example, if the imam has already started praying and you're coming in on the 2nd or 3rd rakah, you said that it's sunnah for them to say Allahu Akbar.
No. When you finished with imam, when the imam is finished, when you stand up.
We're talking about the person who is masbuq.
No.
Remember that he already said his Allahu Akbar and already joined the prayer and finished praying with the imam.
No, that's the.
And then now the imam said his salam.
No, that's the second. That was the second
portion,
time.
Right?
That was another portion. You've mentioned this beforehand as well, where you were entering into the prayer.
تكلمنا على كيف قال تكبيرة الإحرام للمسبوق.
Yeah, then he has to when he's joining the prayer, he has to say Allahu Akbar.
وهو واقف هذا هو واللي يخرج.
While standing.
It's not sunnah. It's fard.
فرض.
Okay, so what about saying it out loud?
لكن ندب تكبيرة الإحرام يندب الجهر فيها لكل مصلي.
The saying of it out loud for everybody who's praying, whether he's imam praying behind the imam, everybody who's starting the prayer, takbiratul ihram, it's fard to say it, and it's an additional sunnah to say it out loud.
مندوب فقط.
Additional mandub, additional preference, a reward to say it out loud.
Okay. And it doesn't matter which rakat you enter into.
It doesn't matter which rak'ah you entered, and we said that it's not liked for somebody to be moving after they started saying it or whatever.
No.
Stand up, finish saying Allahu Akbar, pronouncing the second Allahu Akbar, and then going into whatever the imam is in.
طيب. بارك الله فيك. تفضل.
When you're joining the prayer, let's say you come in late and then you catch the imam, he's sitting already, you know, you don't say Allah, you just, you say Allahu Akbar, but you don't say Allahu Akbar sitting down, you just sit down. But if he's in ruku', then you say it 2 times.
So we said an additional Allahu Akbar after the takbiratul ihram. After he says Allahu Akbar, then now if the imam is bowing or prostrating, then you say Allahu Akbar again as you're moving into downward prostration, and that's the sunnah.
Okay, so the first.
Takbiratul ihram is fard.
لا نتكلم عنها. هذه خلاص انتهى الأمر.
Okay, so when you're entering and if they're in ruku', then you say 2.
You would say, if they're in ruku', then you would say Allahu Akbar, then Allahu Akbar again as you move.
No. But if they're sitting down, then you just say the Allahu Akbar and then you just sit down.
You would say Allahu Akbar.
That was a question, right?
And then sit down.
Right?
No.
هذا هو الدين. هذا هو الدين الذي يلزم العامة أن تسأل عنه وتتعلم.
This is the deen that people need to ask and learn about.
أما أحوال فلسطين هل هي تأكل وتشرب وهل موريتانيا يأكلون ويشربون هذا شيء آخر. يقال فروض الكفاية. هذا يقال فروض الكفاية.
But as far as Palestine, are they eating or drinking, or Mauritania, are they eating or drinking?
أفريقيا هل هي ستموت من الجوع أو ستموت من العطش هذه فروض الكفاية.
Or Africa is it dying of starvation or thirst? Then
هذه
these
يقال
are
فروض الكفاية.
obligations for the ummah.
هذا إذا وجد الناس يعرفون الأحكام يجمعون الأموال من أهل الثروة يعرفون الأحكام ليس كل الناس يصلح لهذا.
But they're not obligations for everyone. They're obligations for the people who are able to fulfill these responsibilities.
يعرفون الأحكام.
With proper knowledge of the
ولهم القوة على معاملة الناس.
And have the ability to deal with people and to implement.
والصبر على أذاهم.
And the patience to deal with people's difficulty and so on.
هذا للناس المؤمن القوي عنده العلم والجاه والمكان الذي يمكن أن يفعله للناس.
These strong Muslims who have the ability and the power and the status to be able to help with these things.
أما أكثر من 90 فعليه أن يهتم بهذا العلم ويطبقه في نفسه وأهله.
But as far as more than 90% of people, just learn your obligatory knowledge and teach it to your family and practice it.
أنفسكم وأهلكم نارا.
Save yourselves and your families from hell.
هذا هو حال العامة.
This is the state of the majority of the public.
لا تبحثوا عن موريتانيا ولا عن فلسطين ولا عن أفغانستان قبل أن تبحثوا عن أنفسكم.
Do not ask about Palestine or Mauritania or Afghanistan or whatever,
سوريا
or Syria before you ask about your own selves.
أهلك ونفسك نفسك وأهلك نفسك وأهلك.
Yourself and your family, yourself and
قدم
your family.
نفسك وأهلك.
Put yourself first and your family. Save yourself from the fire.
أعلم أني لو كنت خادعكم أنا كثير من الناس يأتينا يقولون نريد نساعدك فاونديشن ولكن مهمة هم أهلك.
So then know that if I was trying to deceive people, I'd say, oh no, just help my foundation and so on. No, but I tell you the most important thing, learn you and yourself and your family.
أنا عندي منظمة كبيرة. عندي منظمة كبيرة. ولكن لا أريد أن أخدعكم. لا أريد أن أكون يوم القيامة مسوك من اليدين طرفين.
I have a big foundation, for helping people who are in need, but and so on, and teaching and all of these things. But I'm not a deceiver. I'm not a person who is telling you come to this thing and leaving you from your what you actually need, which is the knowledge.
لا أريد أن أمسك بيدي يوم القيامة.
I don't want to be taken on the day of judgment.
بيدي.
And held with both of my hands.
تفضل.
Just wondering, can you go over the different types of najasa? Because I don't know besides
إن شاء الله.
besides like a few things.
إن شاء الله.